All right, you guys, so in this video, I'm going to be sharing and breaking down with you guys and explaining to you how to effectively and efficiently how to build lean muscle and also lose body fat at the same time. So I'm just going to be sharing with you what's personally been working for me. So just a little quick brief backstory on me, guys. I used to be over 300 pounds over 2-3 years ago, and I've had a lot of ups and downs during my fitness journey, and I think I've pretty much nailed down throughout these past 6 months, even till this day. I would say I've nailed down and really locked in on what's working and what's going to continue to work for me, because right now I'm still in the cutting phase, and I got about like 4 more weeks before I'm done my cutting phase. So while I'm cutting weight and trying to cut the body fat, I'm still building small amounts of lean muscle. Even to this point, when I'd say I'm like over a year in my lifting journey consistently, I would still consider myself relatively intermediate as far as lifting consistently. But overall, guys, for me personally, especially now, when I'm really on an aggressive cut, I'm still able to maintain a good amount of lean muscle and strength while also losing that extra body fat that I want to get rid of. Let's just get right into it. Now, the very first thing, guys, I want to start off by saying, guys, is to stop making excuses and make sure you get your protein in. One thing that I've seen online, I don't know if it's like some type of like taboo, but a lot of people online, I guess they try to clickbait you guys, but they try to tell you that getting a lot of protein in is not good for you and that you only need to get like a certain amount. So like, let's say if you're like a 250-pound guy, and the guy will probably just tell you to get about like 200 grams of protein. Like, I think it's like 0.5 or like 0.8 grams of lean body mass. So if your goal weight is 200 pounds, they would say at minimum get 200 grams of protein, which is okay, I guess. But for me, guys, when I was 250 pounds, I like my relative big, I was over 300 pounds, but like when I was really locking in on my fitness and my nutrition, I was around like 250 to 60 pounds. I was making sure I was getting at least 220 grams all the way to like 230 plus grams of protein. Even now to this day, I'm currently sitting at like 220, 215 to 220 right now. I'm getting around 230 grams to 240 grams of protein. I know that sounds ridiculous and that sounds like a lot, but for me, that's what's worked for me up until this point, and that is still what's continuously working for me to 100% make sure that I'm not losing any excess muscle, that I'm strictly losing body fat. Obviously, 100% of the muscle isn't going to stay, especially when you're in an aggressive cutting phase, because for me, like I said, I'm currently at around 1,800 calories, and I'm making sure I'm getting at least 230 grams of protein. My goal weight is still like 205 pounds, so I still got like 10 pounds to lose. So yes, guys, getting your protein is ultimately going to be key. So for me, like I said, people start to say that getting too much protein is not good for you. What I feel like most people don't understand is if you're still in a calorie deficit and your overall calories for the day is in a deficit, if you're eating like 1,500 calories, let's say for example, you're a 220 pound guy trying to get to like 180, and your calorie and you're like a super restrictive calorie restrictive goal, you're intaking like 1,500 to 1,600 calories. If you're able to fit like 210 grams of protein in that calorie deficit, you're 100% going to be able to build muscle or even maintain the muscle that you already have if you're like an intermediate lifter while also losing body fat. So I feel like most people, they don't go more in depth as to why maybe overeating protein is not a good thing. But honestly, I never saw the downside, or like I just never really got a good explanation as to why too much protein is bad for you. Unless you have like a super kidney failure or like you have like a kidney disease. But I feel like most people don't have that, especially watching this video. But if you have that, that's a different story. But yeah, most people who want to really lose body fat while also maintaining or gaining lean muscle through the process, they have to understand, from my perspective, getting a good amount of protein is really important. So for me, guys, what I tend to do is, you might be asking yourself, how are you getting so much protein on like a super restrictive calorie, like overall calories intake? What I do is I take away from the carbs, those calories, and redistribute that to my proteins to give me more protein intake. So like I said, for me, that's just a sacrifice you're gonna have to take. You're gonna have to weigh out. If you guys really like your carbs, you're gonna obviously equal it out. But for me, my overall breakdown for me is like 50% protein and I think 30% carbs, and then the rest is fats. But I think it's actually maybe 60% protein. So like I said, for me, guys, what's working for me and what's been working for me was really prioritizing protein and maybe going lesser on the carbs and the fats just to give me that extra boost of protein. So guys, the way I see it, you can never get too much protein. I mean, I guess too much of anything is bad, but unless you're getting like 300 grams of protein, if you're able to get 300 grams of protein while in a super calorie deficit, I need to know your secret. But ultimately, guys, what I feel like is going to be beneficial for most people to understand is that you can definitely get a good over amount of protein while also being in a calorie deficit. So if your goal weight is 200 pounds, try to shoot for like 210 to 220 pounds of protein. While you're also in a calorie deficit. That's also really, really important. I want to emphasize this to you guys, that it's really, really important to ultimately make sure you're in a calorie deficit overall, but to also really make sure your macronutrients are set up correctly, where you're making sure you're intentionally getting an overestimated amount of protein throughout the day to really, in my opinion, just guarantee and assure you that while you're in your cutting phase, you're not going to be losing a whole bunch of muscle. You're just going to be losing mainly fat. Now, my second key point I want to share with you guys is to consistently strength train and making sure you're tracking your workouts, because throughout, especially if you're cutting and trying to lose body fat and lose weight, which I feel like most people are struggling with, which is what I was struggling with, was that I really wasn't tracking my weight as far as lifting in the gym consistently. So it's really, really important to making sure you're hitting the gym at least. For me, guys, I'm only going to share with you what's working for me and what has worked for me in the past. So this may be contrary to most people, but I feel like this is pretty common knowledge. Most people need to be working out 5 to 6 days a week. I know that sounds crazy. 6 days is crazy, but 5 days minimum. Like, I don't see how if you're serious about losing body fat while also maintaining lean muscle and maybe building lean muscle, especially if you're a beginner, you're definitely going to see the most, like, if you're a super beginner, like who's never lifted before and you're really, really big and overweight, I can literally just give you the guide, the blueprint, just based on my mistakes, and just share that with you in detail, and you'll be set up for success from the beginning. But that's besides the point. Ultimately, guys, it's really important to strength train 5 to 6 days a week consistently, non-negotiable. Just like eating is non-negotiable for most of you, making sure you're prioritizing strength training is non-negotiable. 5 to 6 days a week, and also tracking your workouts. And why it's important to track your workouts is because unless you have like a super what's the word I'm looking for? Your memory is super like strong and you can memorize things that you did months ago. I can't do that. So if you have that super strong memory, then maybe you don't need to track your workouts. But if you're going to the gym consistently, you need to track your workouts and making sure you're progressively getting stronger. Now, when I mean progressively overload, when I mean progressively get stronger, I don't mean like every single week. Like say Monday's a chest day and you're doing a bench press. I don't mean every single Monday you're going to be increasing weight. Ultimately, guys, what I recommend is that your rep range be from 8 to 10, 8 to 12, honestly, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And if you can do 8 to 12 on your very last working set, and you can bang out 8 to 9, that's good. The next week, you're going to try to go for 10. If you can't go for 10, then just try to simply do whatever you did last time, and then just drop the weight a little bit, and then just quickly do a superset with with like 5 to 10 pounds lighter. That's what I do. So like, let's say I'm doing a 225 bench, and I did 8 last week, and this week I'm struggling, and I'm doing 8 again this week. What I do is I just simply take off the 45er pounder and put a 35er, and then just try to bang out 12. Ultimately, guys, there's ways to get around it. That to me is considered progressively overloading. In a small way, just supersetting your last heavy set with just a smaller weight, but just trying to increase the reps. That's the way superset, in my opinion. So just making sure every week you're progressing either in weight or in actual reps. And if you can't increase in either one, then just literally drop set and then bang out like 5 to 10 pounds less than your heaviest set, and try to bang out like 10 to 12. And ultimately, guys, you're trying to get stronger, especially while you're in the cutting phase. So especially if you're doing the cutting phase correctly, guys, you should be able to at least maintain. If you're like a intermediate lifter, you should be able to maintain. And I would definitely say if you're getting the protein that I was recommending, a higher amount of protein dosage, you should be able to at least gain some lean muscle throughout the process. But if you're a 100% beginner, you're 1000% going to gain lean muscle while literally simultaneously stripping body fat from your body. So guys, please make sure you're consistently lifting in the gym strong, heavy, intentionally, and tracking your workouts. And a little caveat and a little sprinkle on top, guys, the easiest way to making sure you're tracking your workouts correctly is literally do the same workouts every single day. So another mistake that I want to just throw out there that I've made is that every like month and a half, I would switch up my whole workouts and just do a whole different workout routine. I would do like a push-pull leg split for 4 weeks and then switch it up to like an upper lower, then arm split. Guys, stick to honestly, if you're a beginner, stick to the same exact workout for at least 3 months, because you'll see a lot of progress in 3 months. And unless you're clearing off like 400-pound benches and like you're doing the whole racks on your machine and the whole rack is lightweight, guys, you don't need to switch up your workout routines every other month. Stick to the same workout for 3 months, get good at all those lifts, and then after 3 months, if all those lifts you can clear off the whole weight and the weight just feels super light, then you can maybe switch it up a little bit. But please make sure you're lifting consistently, tracking your workouts, and sticking to a workout routine that works for you. Now, my third point, guys, is to make sure you're getting at least a few steps a day. Now, what I mean by getting your steps and getting your cardio in, basically what I mean by steps is try to make sure you're getting some cardio. Now, this is, for me, ultimately, in my opinion, just a sprinkle on top. If you're 100% dialed in on your nutrition and your workouts, you honestly don't need to do this third point, which is the cardio I'm mentioning. But I know for a lot of people, me especially, you're not always going to be 100% dialed in on your nutrition Sunday to Sunday. So I mean Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you're locked in on your nutrition 7 days a week and doing your workouts 5 to 6 days a week, the cardio can just be literally something you do on your rest day, which is what I currently do. I currently work out 5 days a week, and the 2 days I don't work out, I still try to get some steps in, do some boxing classes, or just do some type of cardio. But I don't recommend doing any high intensity cardio because especially if you're tracking your calorie deficit, you don't want to overexert yourself because you'll just become super tired and hungry, and then you'll tend to want to binge and you're gonna be craving some food, and you're gonna curb your cravings. You're gonna fold to those cravings. So just to prevent that, guys, ultimately I recommend you're making sure you're doing some steady state cardio. So if you're doing cardio, the only real cardio I recommend is just literally walking on an incline treadmill. Honestly, you don't have to go past 7 to 8 incline at a 3.0 speed, maybe 3.3, 3.5 speed if you're really feeling yourself. But that's what I do on the treadmill. I tried doing the Stairmaster. I'm not gonna lie, guys, that shit burns. I can do it. Like, if I really dedicated myself, I can honestly do anything I want to. But for me, I just find it more comfortable doing the treadmill. I have a home treadmill, so I'm able to do that any time of the day. But for me, yeah, just try to do some steady state cardio twice a week. If you're lifting consistently and you're tracking your nutrition, you only need to do the dedicated cardio session once a week on your rest day for like 45 minutes. But like, say you're not 100% on your nutrition, I recommend doing, and let's say you're busy throughout the week, just do 15 minutes before your workout and then 10-15 minutes after your workout is done. That should satisfy you throughout the week. But making sure you're getting some steps in, just give you that extra boost of making sure you're really strategically losing body fat. Now, this last point, guys, is kind of something that I want to just throw in there because it's something that if you're really consistently going to the gym, you're gonna definitely want to make sure you're taking this advice. Is to making sure you're stretching your muscles, and you're doing some type of massage gun therapy or like getting some massage, because especially if you're doing this consistently, guys, you're gonna get sore. I'm currently like, I'm just sharing this with you because I'm currently going through this right now where I'm having some leg pains and like I'm having some spasms and just overall cramps because I didn't properly stretch before my workouts, especially leg workouts. Like that shit, I'm still like, I have a leg workout tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to get it done regardless. But guys, I really want to emphasize the importance of stretching before and after your workouts. Mainly before, I would say like really dedicate like 15 minutes of stretching. I know that sounds like a lot of time, but trust me, guys, that'll pay off. Because why I even mention this is because you want to be consistent in the gym, and you don't want to have any excuses to not hit the gym. Like, oh, I can't do this workout because my leg is killing me. Ultimately, guys, if you stretch correctly and you do some decent stretches and massages, you shouldn't be, you're still gonna, if you're pushing yourself really hard in the gym, especially where you're cutting and you're on the lower calories, you're still gonna feel pain the next day. But ultimately, you don't want to have like super serious pain where you can't move. So I really recommend you guys making sure you're stretching, getting your stretches in, and massaging your body wherever you're about to work out. Ultimately, that's going to be beneficial for you and helps you build that longevity, because this is something you're going to have to be doing for months as far as going to the gym consistently. So you don't want to have any, like I said, you don't want to have any excuses not to go to the gym. So making sure you're stretching and doing some massage therapy, massage gun, whatever it is, that's going to be beneficial for you guys. So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. And yeah, man, I want to see you guys build some muscle.